These days, the modern man is powerless. He really is. You have all these guys going around presenting themselves as groveling weaklings who will do whatever it takes for pussy. And they go around simping and chasing tail and essentially just being weak, pathetic, submissive dudes. And they're not being submissive in the sense of they're not doing anything and they're just letting females do the work, but rather they're being submissive by presenting themselves to females as willing to do anything for pussy. And because of this, women are powerful, very powerful. And it hasn't always been like this. It really hasn't. I think that the way the modern dating marketplace is set up is so that men have to beg and they have to grovel and they have to be submissive in an active sense. They have to actively present themselves as submissive, and they have to swoon over a female in order to get her to like them. And I see this all the time, and this is the norm. But you have all these red pill dudes, and they go around and they're always saying all these things about how you should be as a man in order to obtain females, and the things they push are often counterintuitive and actually just hurt men more. For example, this cold approach shit. You're approaching random women who you don't even know, you don't know the morals of, you don't know her morality, her past, or anything, and you're approaching random women like a desperate, thirsty loser and validating them. And this makes them powerful. This gives them the ability to set the standards so that men are powerless. Because men act powerless, they act weak, they act pathetic, they act with no self-respect. And another thing about these red pill dudes is they'll complain women have power in the courts. They have power in the sense that they can accuse men of things, and men are essentially, by society, guilty until proven innocent. Well, let's get this straight. Maybe if men stood up for themselves, maybe if men stopped groveling and swooning over women and stopped thinking with their dicks, then men wouldn't have to worry about all these false accusations and all that kind of bullshit that a lot of these red pillars are complaining about. Maybe if men stopped going and chasing tail and were able to just control themselves and act stoic and do what needs to be done to improve themselves and be worthy, moral, righteous human beings instead of begging pussy thirsty losers, then women would know better, and maybe women would not feel as entitled to accuse men falsely or fuck men over. But instead, we have men who are so thirsty and so desperate, including these manosphere guys who go around, especially the PUA guys who go around trying to chase tail, that women see themselves as untouchables, and they have so much power because the vast majority of men are willing to do whatever it takes to get pussy. So the vast majority of women will be able to use this to their advantage and essentially control the behaviors of men by holding up the carrot that is their body on a stick in front of the man, and the man can't do shit because he's weak and has no will. He just pursues hedonistic pleasure, and this gives women all the power. And maybe they don't always use it. Maybe some are too scared to use it. Maybe some women, because women tend to be pretty weak They tend to be very cowardly. They don't use this to their full potential. But they do have the vast amount of power. They are very powerful. And it's because men allow them to be by behaving in a manner that allows women to set the standards so that men have to be weak and women can be powerful. If you don't beg and simp to women, you're not going to make it in the dating marketplace. You're just not. If you don't go out of your way to essentially validate women and go, hey, 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 give me attention, give me attention. If you don't do that shit, then you're just going to be ignored. You're going to be invisible. But let me tell you right here, I'd rather be invisible than resort to these lows that the majority of guys are resorting to. Unless you're like a top 1% Chad or you're very rich or whatever, you're going to be ignored unless you do these pathetic things. But that's okay, because as a man, you are designed to be able to deal with much more harsh things than lack of female validation. And I'm willing to go through whatever trials and tribulations it takes to retain my self-respect and retain my own self-worth, even if that means being alone or whatever. To me, that's perfectly fine, because guess what? I'm a man who values himself, and you as a man should do the same. Unfortunately, most men are too stupid and too incapable to overcome their base desires because they're not thinkers. They're just thinking with the lizard brain instead of thinking with their evolved human brain, and they're going around simping because they want to fulfill their hedonistic desires. So, men, you have no power until you change, until there's an incentive for men to change, until men decide, I care about myself, I care about how I appear from an outward perspective. Just look at these guys in Instagram comments or whatever. They're just begging to random hoes. You got these hoes, these internet hoes, and you look at the comments and it's all these pathetic, groveling dudes who are just begging, please give me attention. I'm valid, ain't I? No, she doesn't give a fuck about you, bro, and she never fucking will. Especially by the way you're acting right now. Honestly, it's dudes like this that are why men are weak and women are strong. And I don't mean that in the sense of physical strength or mental strength. I mean that in the sense of social strength and power in the dating market. Women are powerful and they have the ability to manipulate all these masses of weak men who think with their dicks and get them to do whatever they want, because these weak men do not have enough self-respect to go, hey, I'm going to do what's best for me, not just do whatever will give me even the idea of pussy, even the slight smidgiest bit of chance of pussy. Dudes will do whatever it takes. So, as a man, learn yourself, learn self-respect, improve your mind, fix your mind, stop doing this shit stop doing this groveling and begging and swooning, because it's making it harder for you. And the more men do this, the more selective women can be, and the more men are going to just end up being lonely grovelers. So fix yourselves.